Hey friends, this is former All-Pro wide receiver of the New York Jets, Wesley Walker. You are watching Jets Guru.
Look at all these haters surrounding me every day. Hating on a baller.
Straight ahead of on the first down. Spins inside the 5 to the goal line.
No more. I'm just trying to get mine. You best get yours. So what you hating for?
Pop the lock on the bed, steal his keys. Too high to see his own enemy. Seen his baby mama tears with a short skirt. His last ride was in the car, I mean a black hearse. His friend took his life for the mighty dollar. Then ran through the alley, must have been a cow. No more getting him up like in the old days. Homie squad with Mac 10s and AKs. That's why I roll by myself, I mean my lonely. Cause haters be all up on me. Trying to stick you out for your cheddar and your cheese.
This is Daniel Smith from Jets Guru. Welcome to the show. All gas, no brakes. Let's go, Jets. What is going on, Jets Guru crew? Glad to be with you. Happy to be with you. Let me put that down a little bit so you can see my face, man. Come on now. What's going on, YouTube? Thank you for tuning in. We're building a little bit of following in YouTube now. We should have been doing it from the start. But, hey, listen, we had such a good following on Facebook, and we still do, that we said, you know, we want to spread it to the rest of the world. So that's what we're doing. I know there's great programs on YouTube. I don't want no beef with anybody. But I think we do a good job of production and giving you some good perspective from fans who really pay attention, really watch the games, and really invest into the team. As you see, one guru, we got Liz. She's all over the place, meeting players, being fan of the year, you know, doing big things. You know, Kevin, Mr. International, he's traveling all over the place. All right, don't get me started. Go look at his Instagram, okay, and all the food spots that he's hitting. So he's hitting the town. Okay, you got JR up here. He's doing big things. Look at the show. Look at. I had a cell phone. This was me. I was sitting here like this a couple years ago. Jets Guru. Oh, look at me, right? Now full production for JR, which is going to get better over time as we learn more, as we grow more as a show. Appreciate it, Simon. Appreciate it, my main man Euros. Birthday this month too. I mean, what is up with that? We keep getting older, but we keep getting better, right? I don't know how to explain it. It's weird. And just like the Jets, as this team matures, they're getting better. They're getting more talent in, young talent, older talent, veteran talent, Hall of Fame talent, might I add. And I'm super excited for this football team. And here it is, Hard Knocks, right? You know, you got Saleh, you got, you know, Aaron Rodgers sitting up there coaching everybody. I just love it, you know. But we got a little bit of dose of reality as Jet fans. And what I mean by that is watching Hard Knocks, you got to see something that we all had in the back of our minds. We kept pushing it off. We all knew it, but we kept pushing it off. We all knew, but we kept pushing it off. And it was just the offensive line problems on Hard Knocks. You know, it just something that we all thought was going to happen. Something that we all knew that was going to be an issue. But yet we sit here time and time again having to worry about it. And it's not because of lack of effort on Joe Douglas's part. Now, I put a poll up on Jets Guru, and the poll basically said, with Tomlinson, Vera Tucker, and Dwayne Brown still on the PUP list, do you think the offensive line noise is overblown? And a majority of the people said only if those guys are hurt week 1. And the other one was, yes, we do think it's overblown. So with doing that and with posing that question, I bring Kevin in, who's going to talk about the offensive line for the New York Jets and all of the noise. And Kevin, I ask you, with Tomlinson, with Vera Tucker, with Dwayne Brown, still on the PUP list, do you think that the offensive line noise is overblown? And what do you think about this Jets offensive line and the things that lie ahead?
I think the Jets are worried about week one and getting as many healthy bodies as possible ready and where they need to be for week one. Would it be nice to have everybody here at training camp? Would it be nice to be building the rapport that you need as an offensive line, to have chemistry, to have a good feel for each other in a new offensive system now? Yes. I mean, there's no way to getting around that would be ideal. There's literally no way to get around it, right? And do we need healthy bodies? Yes. But the most important thing is that we have healthy bodies week one. And when you listen to the interviews of Saleh, you listen to the interviews of Rodgers, you can hear them say that, yes, they wish everybody was at camp. Yes, they wish everybody was healthy. But let's get Vera Tucker in there. Let's get Brown in there before we start over-evaluating and over-analyzing. The one good thing that we saw last year was when Becton went down and we signed Dwayne Brown and we needed some time to get Dwayne Brown ready for week one, we saw Max Mitchell get a lot of reps in the preseason, right? He got started reps, and it really got him ready for when we needed to call his number during the regular season. And what you're seeing happening at Jets camp right now is very, very similar. You got the rookie Carter Warren, who's getting a lot of reps. You got Turner, who's getting a lot of reps. And Becton is the big question mark, right? And I see Jets fans all over the place with opinions on Mekhi Becton, right? We got to remember this guy hasn't played consistent football in 3 years. And I don't mean consistent as in quality. I just mean rep after rep after rep after rep, game after game after game after game, and building chemistry and building confidence in both his way to execute with his teammates and in the offensive plan. And the Jets are going to take their time. There's no reason to rush him back. There's no reason to throw him into the fire. And they're easing him back in, which they didn't do 1 year ago. And it led to another injury. And I can really see them right now. He was with the second string, both in the last preseason game, as well as in the recent camp battles against Carolina and Tampa Bay. And he's looked well, better in the run game than the pass game, which shouldn't be a surprise. He's always been an elite. I would say Becton is one of the top run blocking offensive tackles in the league, which he should be at over 340 pounds. And he'll get better and get more confident in his knee. But will he be ready for week one? I don't know. But the good thing is the backups are getting reps. Guys like Warren and Turner, we can feel good about. And the only thing that worries me right now, because we still have almost a month, right? We literally have 3 more weeks until 9/11. Is I was disappointed to see Max Mitchell had to step out, right, with his back pain that he had recently. He's had an up and down camp. He's struggled, which is why we've had so much rotation. And I think we're going to eventually have to be honest with ourselves, right? Is Max Mitchell going to be a long-term backup swing tackle? And there's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes Jets fans, we want depth. And he's a guy who can pinch hit as a starter, who's probably a long-term backup swing tackle. A lot like Turner, right? Turner was signed to be a backup swing tackle. They're probably about even. So I appreciate that they're getting the reps. I would like to see them together. Do I think it's time to pull the ripcord? No. But we also know Joe Douglas does his homework, right? Do we think, the rumors about him gauging Green Bay's temperature for David Bakhtiari, I think his name is, the offensive tackle that was a free agent that re-signed, I think, a 1-year deal with the Packers. Do we think he's kind of keeping a market? Maybe. Ben Jones for the Titans is out there if we need some help in the middle. Honestly, I'm not worried about the middle, right? McGovern, AVT, Tomlinson, Schweitzer, Tippmann. I feel good about the middle. And almost all those guys can play center or guard. So I'm not worried about the middle of our offensive line at all. But do they kick the tires on a Tyler Lewan? Do they kick the tires on a Dalton Risner? What I see right now is the Jets aren't panicking. They are going to take their time and let guys heal and get healthy. And they're going to get ready from 3 weeks from now. They don't have to look like an A-plus team on August 17th. They need to look like an A-plus team on 9/11. So as Jets fans, I'd calm down a little bit from practice to practice. And I saw a great tweet from Brian Costello, and he doesn't have great tweets very often, but the day after Aaron Rodgers got sacked 6 times, he got sacked 0 times. So one day, do you scream at the offensive line for giving up 6 sacks? And today, are you worried about the defensive line because they got no sacks, right? We got to not overreact to every single day of training camp. And let's let the Jets get ready for 9/11. That's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. I agree 100%. I mean, when you look at this football team, how could you get that worked up when over 50% of your line isn't even playing? And it's not because they got injured in camp. These are things that they're working their way back from. So when you look at it, they're on the way up. You know, they're supposedly supposed to be, everyone's supposed to be ready by week 1. Now, my problem is, you know, I heard something that Aaron Rodgers said about the offensive line. I think it was today, but I'm not 100% sure. It may have been yesterday, but I think it was today. And he was saying how, you know, he's not too concerned, but eventually, you know, because, you know, there's a lot of time, but it still is just, you know, weeks away here, that he would eventually like the 5 that he's going to play with, whoever it's going to be, to get practice and get reps with just those starters for a significant amount of time before, you know, right before the season starts. So I think it's coming up soon. And I think soon, very soon, within a week, you're going to start seeing these guys come off this PUP list to kind of ease the tension in the media, because the hard knocks, being on Hard Knocks for the whole nation to see, kind of puts a big spotlight on you. And then once people see the show and the reporters see the show, then the next day you wake up, you know, and you have questions that you need to answer for the stuff that you've done a week prior. So this is where things can get kind of stressful in the locker room. And that's why I'm so happy that the Jets have such a good mix of like fun young guys and veterans at the same time, because they seem like they're handling it very well. I love the way Aaron Rodgers is just going about his business in coaching other players up. It seems like about everything that they've said about the guy in Green Bay is the complete opposite that he's doing with the Jets. And, you know, sometimes you get someplace new, Kevin, and things will look a little bit different. But hey, guys, listen, if you want to support the show, we still need support. We don't get paid for this. We're trying to keep growing bigger and better things. In the comment section on the bottom, there's a little star. It'll give you options to be able to contribute to the show. We got some cool things coming. We got our t-shirt design that is dropping on Saturday. So be on the lookout for that. We'll drop the design, and then shortly after, we'll be dropping the shirts. So Jets Guru merch is getting back into the world once again. I've already had... That's right, JR. And so please share the show. Help support. If you don't have anything to give, that's fine. We're not beggars. We're just asking. And if you, all you got to do is share the show, because if you share the show today, one of you will be chosen by the end of the show by JR by checking the shares, right? Because it's how we're doing it now, guys. You got to share this show, or you got to share the post just below the show that has the tickets on it. But I will be giving away 1 free ticket to the preseason game. Yeah, it's just a preseason game, but some people never get to go to games ever. So all you got to do is share the post. If you live locally, you might be able to go to a game for free. And that's pretty cool. So please share the show. And once again, here we go. YouTube. Please keep tuning in on YouTube. I have not forgot about you guys. I am still out there thinking about you. So we're giving you a shout out because I know that you're listening. So I really appreciate it. But Kevin, I want to know just your personal opinion before we get into Dalvin Cook. What is your opinion about Hard Knocks? Because I've spoken about it twice, last week and this week, and I haven't really got your opinion of the show and how the Jets are handling it.
Well, I think the Jets are handling it very well for the fact that they didn't want to be on it. And sorry, so with the switch of pictures, I lost my train there for a second. But one of the things I appreciated about it the most, and it's funny, there's a bunch of us on the former Live Rounds podcast that still text behind the scenes about a lot of the New York media stuff. And you hear a lot of people taking shots at the Jets and their coaching staff and all those things. And outside of what they want to showcase, the side interviews and the player stuff, that honestly, a lot of us Jets fans that follow the Jets year round, a lot of the stuff we know, right? We know a lot about the players, their backgrounds, where they come from. It's nice to see it. But I think Coach Saleh gets questioned a lot. Is he ready to lead a veteran team? Is he mature enough? Can he handle it? Can he inspire? Can he motivate? Can he be the leader that the Jets need with the mix of talent that you just said? I mean, this is a very veteran team with a mix of young talent that's really the nucleus of our success. And can he put all the pieces together? And the one piece I appreciate about Hard Knocks is how well they're highlighting the Jets culture under Joe Douglas, under Woody Johnson, which some Jets fans are going to hate to hear, and under Coach Saleh. And you hear the inspiration, you hear the metaphors, you hear how they set up a lesson and then hammer that nail home in practice. The same thing that they said in the classroom, they take it to the field. And you see a very mature approach to how the Jets are going about the season. You see it not just from the leadership, but then from the players as they communicate what's going well and what's not going well, what should have hit, what shouldn't have hit. And guys, I mean, did we expect no adversity during the season? I mean, we're Jets fans. I mean, come on. This wasn't going to be a cupcake season where we came in and the offensive line is all healthy at the same time and our skill positions are all healthy at the same time. Like, we're getting a lot of wins here with the landing of Dalvin Cook, right? With Breece Hall coming off the injury thing today. And I think a lot of things that you see from an enthusiasm, from a culture standpoint, that we feel on social media, that we feel in our sidebar conversations, oozes through the show. And last week I talked about it at the Hall of Fame, how you could feel the enthusiasm, the pride that was starting to come out from Jets fans screaming JETS everywhere. And you see that on the show about the excitement you should be having, the optimism that you should be feeling every single day, and the excitement that you should feel for kickoff. And I think that's the pieces, if you don't get too high or too low on different storylines or different things going well on a day-to-day in practice, to me, that's what you should be getting out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. And I think they've held their own. I think they've done an excellent job at representing. It's not easy. A lot of new stuff is happening over there. There's a lot of expectations, for the New York Jets. And, I think they've done a good job. Can Saleh do this? I mean, I think he's doing a pretty good job, and really it all comes down to talent. And he mentioned that in the room. You can have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You can have all these different things. If you don't block up front, what does it mean? And what does it mean? What does the coaching mean if you're not winning those one-on-one matchups? So I think they've done an excellent job at representing themselves. So, I think the Jets, that, with them, this emphasis on the offensive line is going to be something that's going to really be a push in the media going all the way until they actually play and you see what happens. But at the end of the day, you look at some of the best teams in the league, they're not filled in all the way. The Jets have done their best. I think they put together a really good team, the best team on paper we've seen in a while. We'll see what they do when they go out there. And all you could do is appreciate the effort and the work and the passion, like Kevin spoke about. And I think they've done a great job. And you know what? One thing that they've done, and they haven't stopped doing since Joe Douglas has been here, is continue to add talent when they can add it for a reasonable price that makes sense for their metric. And one of those players that were brought in, you guys know, is Dalvin Cook. And I can't express, the Jets couldn't pull off moves like this in the past. This wasn't these players that are looking for hey, I'm looking to get paid, but I'm also looking to win a chip. You look what Cook said. The fact that Aaron Rodgers here makes a big difference. Players want to play with the great players. They want to give themselves a chance to win, especially they know when they can get similar money for a 1-year deal, kind of in a bunch of different places. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but he knows that he's coming to a Jets team where the guy that is the number one back on the team, Hall, is coming off a major injury. I don't know what that's going to look like. Now, I saw a camp video of Breece Hall today, and he looked wonderful, and all that, and I get it, but it's not in the game. And you know what? How about not working your number one guy to death when he's coming off a major knee injury, and also providing a player that can meet that level of talent and keep the train rolling so we don't derail the whole season and we give Aaron Rodgers the proper weapons. Now, I've seen articles, I've seen all sorts of things about Dalvin Cook. Who's Dalvin Cook? His DVOA is down, all this. Now, I spoke on Jets Guru, the podcast, on Spotify, on Apple. We brought it back, and I talked about Dalvin Cook a little bit. And what I also spoke about is how their offense has changed over the time that Kirk Cousins has been here in comparison to his first year as a rookie. And you could see how the offense has changed because more attempts have went to Kirk Cousins. Now, and I'm not just talking about a couple attempts. I'm talking about attempts where Kirk Cousins is going from 440-something attempts a year to 630 attempts a year. That is a lot of attempts swinging into the favor of the quarterback. But what I can tell you that Dalvin Cook, when given the opportunity, has always put up good numbers once he actually got a chance to be the number one guy. Now, the thing for me with Dalvin Cook, it's not the talent. Obviously, it's the health, and it's the shoulders. If you go through the history of Dalvin Cook, going back to 2016 or 2017, he's had issues with his shoulder. And I think for me, you take a chance, yeah, because you look at it and it's a 1-year deal. It doesn't hurt you. The $30 million that Aaron Rodgers freed up, it doesn't hurt you. Now, people are saying, why don't you use that money on an offensive lineman? Well, offensive linemen aren't growing on trees, and the better ones and the ones that would equate to a Dalvin Cook type of level are not sitting around right now. So I think the Jets are looking at a perspective like, hey, we got 3 of our starting offensive linemen coming back. We got Breece Hall coming off the PUP list. Let's get Cook as another weapon and give ourselves a chance, because if anything, shouldn't you learn from your mistakes? And I think the Jets, and I really do think Joe Douglas, out of all the GMs that we've had over the course of my lifetime, it seems like Joe Douglas learns from his mistakes better than others. When there's holes that are there, it seems like he goes and fills them and tries to add depth. And I think he's tried that with the offensive line. And I think he saw what happened to the wide receiver depth just a couple years ago. And I think he saw what happened to the running backs. And even though the position is devalued, I think it is a value come game day. And that's the thing. When you look at it, you need a solid running game. Now, you shouldn't have to spend so much money on one individual back, giving them big 4 or 5 year type of deals, but they're essential to this team, and they're going to be essential to this New York Jets team. When you look at Hall, he is a dynamic back. How could you not like a combination of Cook and Hall in the game? And then you can use Michael Carter, which truly what you should use him for is almost like a gadget player, and use him on the ends and use him for screens. And that doesn't mean, it doesn't spell the end for Knight. It doesn't mean just because Knight gets cut that the Jets don't have a chance to bring him back to the practice squad. You don't know if the Jets can take a hit somewhere else and absorb all the running backs. It's been done before in other positions. So it all depends on what the Jets want to do. But the number one thing is protecting Aaron Rodgers and giving him weapons. And I think the Jets aren't done with the offensive line. I think it is possible the Jets can bring someone in. Now, at this point in time, if you're bringing anyone in at the level of Bakhtiari, you're going to have to pay for it. But what does payment really mean? Because to me as a fan, I don't cut the checks. So I don't care about payment. And I don't run the organization, so I don't care about the picks. But what I do care about is making smart decisions. So if you think it's a smart deal to give away a higher up draft pick to get a tackle in there that you think will be comfortable with Aaron Rodgers and give you what you need to put you on the hump, do it. And you know why I say do it? Because I've seen teams make mistakes time and time again. Kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I've seen it even in other sports. Again, I'm a Mets fan, tragic, the type of teams that I root for. But I've seen the Mets last year when they had one of the best teams that they've ever put together. And when it came to the trading deadline, they had a choice to make. They could have gave up a little bit more of their prospects for a chance to get a better return for a playoff push towards the end. And they didn't. And they kind of went just a bargain type of guy. And those players really had no bearing at the end of the season in trying to help them get over the hump. So what I say is this: if you've already gone this far, if you've already went after Aaron Rodgers, if you've already brought in all this talent, don't stop there. If you have an opportunity to get a tackle or to get a player to bring them in and it costs you a little bit more, this is the time, because all the chips are pushed in anyways. So why are we acting like it's not? So, and I think Joe Douglas understands that. So I think if there's somebody on the table for them to get, I think the Jets are going to be aggressive and shoot for it. They went after Tyreek Hill last year and would have had him if it wasn't for the taxes in Miami. This guy wants to win, and he knows what it takes to win. I truly believe that through the moves, through the trades, through the draft that he's put together. I am really, really happy for the New York Jets. They just have to go out there and they have to prove it, Kevin.
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, obviously, I think Cook was an example of that. I think when we've talked about it historically, we've always talked about more talent is better than less talent. Are there some young players that might be able to step up and play? Like, sure. But to have a guy of that caliber to be able to ease Hall back, and I would even go back to your comment of what you said about Breece Hall coming out, working in the slot, working at running back, looking really good, looking fresh, looking explosive today. And then the Jets are going to take tomorrow and give everybody a day off. So they canceled tomorrow's practice, which people probably know. And I think they give up their practice field because Tampa's still in town. I think Tampa's going to be practicing at the Jets facility. But anyways, I think that's what Jets fans should expect to see when AVT, when Dwayne Brown, when some of these guys come off the injured list, they're going to be ready to go, right? They're going to be explosive. They're going to be ready to literally go into practice and make plays. And just like they took their time with Breece, is the same things we're going to see with AVT, we're going to see with Dwayne Brown, so that when they are back on the offensive line, they're ready to go. Totally agree. Salah, I felt, rushed Becton back last year. He was limping around the day before and the day of his season-ending injury last year. I thought that was bananas that we kept practicing a guy when he was limping. We brought back DJ Reed early, who ended up pulling his hamstring again and going right back on the PUP list when he came off. And I think the Jets and their training staff are doing some lessons learned to make sure people are 100%. And we saw people pulled out of multiple practices, multiple scrimmage, because the injury wasn't worth the reps. And I think that is something that as we get players back up our IR, we saw Garrett Wilson take a couple practices off, came back, looked amazing, right? So the Jets are being smart. And that's why I started the show talking about it's better to be ready for 9/11 than to look good when you're at the practice, right? Yes, when we go to a practice, do we want to see all the players? Of course we do. When we line up against the Carolina and Tampa, do we want to look amazing? Of course we do. But is it worth losing a Becton for the season? Is it worth playing AVT at 80%? Probably some of these guys, if we had a game this week, could play. But why have them practicing at 90%? We'd rather have them look like Breece Hall, who just came off a major knee injury, was running in the slot and looking amazing today. And when we talk about practice, I think that's what's important right now, right? I think we have a very mature team that, and they know, right? Literally Hackett is coming off a year where he had to install his offense over the season. And Russell Wilson struggled with it, just like Russell Wilson is still struggling with Peyton's offense right now. But Hackett literally just came off a season where he installed the offense progressively over time. And the Jets have a mature team where they can bring players back while still getting in the classroom work, while still getting the mental reps as they get prepared to take the physical reps. Because Breece Hall came back to practice and he just fit right into the offense, which tells you the things they're doing in the classroom to get him mentally prepared to play for the first time in Hackett's offense. He was ready to step in and ready to play. And those are the things that I'll look for the next 3 weeks as we get a Dwayne Brown back, right? As we get an AVT back. Do they know their assignments? Are they communicating well? And I referenced the young players earlier, and there's one that I'm not giving enough credit to. And I hear so often about the Jets not having depth, right? But how well has Tippmann looked, right? he's probably looked just as good as McGovern in practice, right? In the scrimmages, in the preseason. He's moving people. He's pulling. He is tall. Tippmann's a very tall offensive lineman, but he looks the part. And who was working with him? Who was talking with him at practice today? Nick Mangold, right? The guy that we want talking to Tippmann, the guy that we want pulling him aside, the guy that we want staring from a distance and coming up and talking to him. So while it all seems doom and gloom with some of the things, we got to focus on getting players back, getting them healthy, getting the installs. We're not going to be perfect in August. We're not going to be perfect in September, guys. The first time they're seeing some of the coverages, some of the schemes, how people want to attack a Paul Hackett offense. They're going to be learning, installing, checking down. The good thing is that you have a mature Lazard, mature Rodgers, mature Cook, Conklin, Azuma, Tomlinson. These are all guys who have been there, seen that, and can turn, right? Dwayne Brown, right? These are guys who have seen everything, understand what teams are trying to do. And when they come to the sideline, there's not many guys who can talk to Rodgers and Rodgers stop and listen, right? There's not going to be Garrett Wilson where he's going to stop. He will listen, but he's going to be telling Garrett Wilson. But when Dwayne Brown, who's won Super Bowls, comes over to him and says something, Rodgers and him are going to be getting on the same page. This is how the defense are trying to do things, and these are the twists, and these are the stunts, and this is how we have players that Rodgers at 40 years old will be pulling the side. What did you see? You know, how did we miss that? What were they doing? And those are the things that this Jets roster has. Same thing for Cook, right? Cook's going to pull Rodgers. Rodgers knows Cook has seen everything at running back, right? He doesn't have 4 1,000-yard seasons because he doesn't know how to attack a defense. And those are going to be great things for Cook to pull Hall aside, to pull a Carter aside, right? For a Lazard to pull a Wilson aside and talk about those things as we're doing the installs, as teams are trying to attack us. And the Jets players are learning about themselves, both the young players and the scheme fits, as we're watching it unfold. So I just ask the Jets fans to be patient. I think Tampa Bay started 4-3 or something like that on their Super Bowl run year. They didn't come out of the box 13-0. Like, it takes a while to get into like your new systems with your new players, learn each other and adapt to what teams are trying to do to you. And we will be better in November than we will be in September. And definitely trying to project August to what we're going to look like in November is just shenanigans, guys. Appreciate the process of this team growing and building throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at it, it's I can hear myself through the mic, but it's one of those things where as in the camp, it's going to be day by day with these guys. You have to look at it like that. It's 3 weeks left until we have anything really meaningful to have to worry about with the Jets. And as it unfolds, again, I know these guys are injured, but they're not like they just got injured. They're coming back off of injury. For all we know, these guys could be ready 100% right now, be ready to go, and the Jets are taking their time and not exposing them to more camp bumps and bruises before they need to. You know, I think it's definitely overblown when, you know, you look at some of the teams that have had success with bad offensive lines. And that's why you go out and you get an Aaron Rodgers. So that way you have a quick release. And then you go out and you get a bunch of weapons. So you can get rid of the ball and put it in their hands. I mean, does it matter? Of course it does. Who was the best offensive line last year? It was the Eagles. They played in the Super Bowl. Who else? Who did they play against? Kansas City Chiefs. They have a top 5 offensive line. But also in that group were the Baltimore Ravens, the Packers, the Falcons, the Browns, you know, like the Buccaneers, the Raiders were in the top 10. Like, the Patriots, like the Bears were, I think, even as bad as they were, they were like top 15. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where we can't look at the statistics so much. Like, oh, well, they need to have a top 5 offensive line. No, what we need to do is we need to block. These guys are all NFL talent. They're all talented players. I think once you see the Jets actually get a starting 5 that they're comfortable with, and you actually let them work together, play in, play out, and get into it, I think you'll start to see a solidification of that offensive line. I truly believe that. The line is not as beat up as you really think it is, and it's not as bad as you think it is. When you're missing 3 guys on your offense, if I told you right now, the offensive line is completely healthy, we go into game 1. After game 1, Vera Tucker, Tomlinson, and I can't think of it in my head, and Dwayne Brown are out after the first game, you would say the season is over. It's completely over. There's no way the Jets are going to be able to do this. Well, let me tell you, they're all coming back. Every single one of them. Tomlinson, they're all coming back. AVT, Brown. So it's gonna, of course, it's going to have a huge effect on the line. Why do we have a negative effect when they're removed, but knowing that they're coming back, we're not going to be positive? They're hurt or on the PUP list right now. 2 days ago, so was Breece Hall, and I just saw him jet down the field. These guys are healthier than you think. They're protecting their players. There's a lot of joint practices, if you haven't noticed. I don't think I want my fresh offensive line getting beat up in joint practices either. You don't think that's on their mind just a little bit, and considering they are coming back from injury? Yes, of course, 100% it's out there. So I think that within the next week or so, you're going to see a solidification of the New York Jets offensive line. You're going to start seeing Rodgers playing with the same people, and you're going to start seeing the Jets, these headlines start to kind of disappear a little bit. But when you look at the rest of camp, I mean, it's up and down, and it's exactly how camp should be. I mean, you look at Quinnen Williams and you're watching Hard Knocks, Kevin, in camp. He just looks unblockable, to be honest with you. I mean, he's counting 9, 10, 11, 12 sacks. You know, this guy, yeah, I mean, he's in his prime right now. And I think with the veterans that were brought here, guys like Al Woods, you know, you got the rest of the guys on the defensive line. You got the new additions like Will McDonald, who showed his worth out there. And me and Kevin spoke about him, about his tape and how he translated on his tape looks like exactly how he looks on the field. And it wasn't just that, right? And what we saw in Hard Knocks, other offensive linemen who've been playing for a while, starting offensive linemen, speaking to him, saying, "Oh, you're going to be good, dude." Like playing against, he's only played a handful of snaps, and there's people telling him, "You're going to be good, dude." If Will McDonald's healthy, he is going to be good. I love what I've seen from camp so far. And you know what, Kevin? What is camp without a little adversity, right? And here we are with the Jets. This is their adversity moment. You know, they didn't perform well against the Buccaneers here recently. They had to cancel a joint practice, and they get to play them on Saturday. Well, how much weight can you really take into that? Again, they sucked against the Panthers, then come out and shut out the Panthers. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm not taking big stock into it. If week 1, we get to week 1 and somehow for some reason not known to anyone, these guys don't make it on the field, then yeah, I would worry a little bit there. But from all indications, it's going to be Brown. It's going to be Tomlinson. It's going to be McGovern. It's going to be AVT. And it's going to be, sorry, I can't get it out there for me, Kevin. Give me that last lineman. I can't think of it. I think I named them all.
Yeah, no, I mean, right tackle is still up for grabs between Mitchell, Turner, and Becton. I mean, it's to be determined. But AVT, McGovern, Tomlinson, and Brown got it locked up, and right tackle to me is still to be determined.
Yeah, and you know, with Becton, I think, listen, there's a patience that has to be had with this guy. You know, for me, what if Becton wasn't ready until week 3 or 4, but when he came in, he was 100% ready? You know, or he was on the bench ready to go. We see these offensive linemen get nicked up all the time. He's a good depth player if needed. I mean, listen, again, I'm trying to perfect a team that can't be perfected because perfection doesn't exist. You look at this football team, I mean, you can't ask for anything more. You have talent on the defensive line. You have talent all over the place. Wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback, cornerback. I mean, it's just, you're not going to have a full 100% team. And now if I was going to have a weakness on the Jets team, which we do have a little bit of a weakness at linebacker, but again, I would prefer the Jets to have a Hall of Fame quarterback than not. I would prefer the Jets to have Garrett Wilson than not. I would prefer the Jets to have Sauce, Quinnen Williams, just keep going on. There's a host of players that I'd rather have than not. So I look at the Jets over the last few years, and Kevin, when we started this show, we had Josh McCown and Robbie Anderson and Bilal Powell, and I love these guys. I do. But this is different now. You know, you're talking about rookies of the year and Hall of Famers and top 2 defensive linemen and top 1 cornerbacks and top 2 tandems. And I mean, it's just, you have to be excited about this. And I'm not going to start Jets Guru next week talking about the offensive line unless it's something that completely blows up, because I just think it's overblown. I think, you know, we need to be appreciative of what we're about to witness, which is, should be and will be, I'm declaring it now, Kevin, it will be a great Jet season. Now, guys, before we finish up this show, we did start the audio portion of Spotify back up again. And I want you guys to tune in. So check it out. It's going to be on Spotify. It's going to be on Apple. Sometimes Kevin will be on. Sometimes it'll be me. Sometimes it'll be Liz. We'll have different people kind of jump on and give their opinions and their takes. Is there anything else you want to say, Kevin, before we get out of here?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how old some of you guys are. We have a mixed variety of fans that watch our show, and we definitely appreciate everyone's perspective. Those are 50-year Jets fans and those who are 3-year Jets fans, for sure, 100%. And for us who've been watching the Jets a long time, a season like this has been a long time coming. And that's why we've talked about, and I've said it over and over again, about be excited. Like, it is literally okay to say, man, we have one of the top 3 quarterbacks. We have one of the top 3 defensive tackles. We have one of the top 3 corners. We have a top 10 wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. We might have a top 10 to 5 running back in Breece Hall. We have a top 10 running back in Cook. It is okay to be excited, scream JETS everywhere you are, to wear Jets gear to work if you can. I don't care if it's your boxers, your socks. I don't care what it is, man. It is okay to be excited. You mentioned Will McDonald earlier. I haven't seen an explosive pass rusher like him, and that's why I referenced the age a little bit. When John Abraham was at camp,
Just gonna say it. Yeah.
and John Abraham, you could just see, and he didn't start his rookie year, which is why I think it's funny when I hear Jets fans be like, oh, Will McDonald's not even started. John Abraham didn't start as a rookie. Like, they just put him in past situations, and you just saw he was unstoppable. As a fourth quarter closer, when we had the lead his rookie season, they would just unleash him. When you knew teams had to pass in the 2-minute drill, John Abraham was put in the game and he would just close it. He would just end the games. He was a monster for the Jets. And when I watch Will McDonald, and we got to see him in the preseason with him, Huff, and Jermaine Johnson on the field at the same time, and we aren't even seeing these 3 guys with Quinnen in the middle. Like, this is something to be – this defense is going to be so fun. And if the Jets can play with some leads and you have to throw, I mean, come on. God, you're gonna want to dare people. If they make a pass or they make plays, they're going to have to earn it big time against this defense. They're going to earn every yard, every play, and it's going to be fun to watch. And the Jets being fun to watch, we enjoy watching them when they had Robbie Anderson and McCown, right? To some level. But imagine seeing all the players I just named on the field at the same time, plus AVT back, plus Brown back, plus McGovern, right? This is going to be fun, guys. Enjoy it. Don't sit and nag on Twitter. Don't sit and nag about perfection, just like he said. Enjoy watching this unfold. This should be a season that you're excited about, like no season. Even the 98 season, which was magic, we did not see that coming with Vinny Testaverde, right? We didn't see it coming. Once it came, it was like, holy crap, we're really good. You know right now the Jets are really good. And you can't say that very often, man. Tear the hate down. Stop screaming at each other on social media. And then have fun with this season. That's all I got to say. Have fun with this football team.
Yeah, man, like we spoke about it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, before Mahomes came along, had the highest average TD percentage per game. And we spoke about it, Kevin, with the kicking game, with the special teams being locked in. If the Jets could squeeze 3 to 6, 6 to 9 points a game, with the fact that Aaron Rodgers is going to score you probably 2 touchdowns a game, and you hand that over to the defense who they were surviving on bare bones last year. I mean, people aren't understanding this is how quarterbacks and certain players make up for deficiencies, right? If you look at some of the great quarterbacks in this league, if you look at some of the great teams in this league, not all of them had the best offensive line or a great offensive line, or sometimes not even really that good of an offensive line. Not all of them had great defenses. Not all of them had these things that we all have to sit and have. We have to have top 10 everything, top 5 everything. That's not how it works. What you need to do is you need to have talented players win in the big moments. And the Jets have enough talented players that can win in the big moments. And what you do is you stack up these insurmountable moments for other teams to overcome. So when you hand the Jets defense a 14-point lead, a 10-point lead, and you're not done on offense yet, you're just handing this over to them. Now they could pin their ears back. Now they can send more. Now Ulbrich can dial up some blitzes, which I think you're going to see this year from the linebacker position that you didn't see so much last year. This is when you can do these things. When you're not playing with a lead, there's certain things you just can't do because you can't expose your defense because you know you're not going to be able to get it back. You got to keep the lead close. If the Jets defense is given a lead consistently and they're able to fly, you're going to see guys pimp. You're going to see Bryce Huff and McDonald and guys like that really get to the quarterback and start to cause problems. You're going to get a chance to see Quinnen Williams earn his money because you're going to see teams have to throw and 3rd and long situations, and that is going to leave Quinnen Williams more time to break off his defender, which is pretty quickly for his size, and get to the quarterback. And you're going to start to see more turnovers from the secondary because of the rush throws. And you're going to see better field position because the defense gets you the ball in a better spot. It's just like stacks when you have that. And that is what Kevin is talking about. So we're sitting here crying over guys who aren't even going to be playing in 2 weeks. And it's just like we need to settle down a little bit. I know the PTSD is very bothersome for me as a Jet fan too, because I know I'm used to the injuries. But it's different this time. These guys, I would go out there and even play with the line that we have right now and still give us success. But they're not. They're going to be, a lot of these guys are going to be backups. They're going to be guys that fill in when guys got nicked up and such. And so I'm super excited for this football team. I'm super excited for Jets Guru. I'm super excited for the merch. I'm super excited for the audio show on Spotify. All you got to do is go on Spotify, type in Jets Guru. All you got to do is go on Apple Spotify, type in Jets Guru. I'll probably jump on there tomorrow, do another episode, kind of put this offensive line thing to rest and move on. We have the Dalvin Cook episode that's up there too. Kevin, while I'm talking, try to find a winner if you can for this preseason tickets for Saturday so I can get it to someone who can actually go. Now, if you can't go for some reason, don't let it go to waste because I'll get it to somebody. So if you shared this post and you can actually go, if Kevin chooses you, if JR chooses you and you can't go, just pass it off to somebody else. All right, guys? But I really appreciate the support on all the pages. Make sure you please check out Live Rounds. Okay, please. Go on YouTube, get our numbers up there. Let's get it popping this year. You know, we've had some cool guests, right? And the more that we could get people to share and kind of be part of this community, and we could, because this is what we do when we contact people, when we contact Connie Carberg, when we contact all these people, Wesley Walker, when we try to contact Wayne Corbett here in the future, we've had contact with Sean Ellis, we've had contact with different people. We need to show them like, hey, we're a legit show. We're not like some clowns up here just looking for you to say something to get to give to a paper or to cause controversy, to get likes. We really are trying to put together a legit production with different outlets to get our stuff to people so that they can hear our opinions and they can hear our good news and spread the good news the Lord wants me to do. So thank you so much. Kevin, do we got a name?
We do. I'm going to go with, and they put a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on this, but is it Warren Rohan?
Okay.
Warren Rohan?
Warren Rohan, you have won the ticket to the Buccaneers game on Saturday. Please message me. You got 24 hours. I'll also message you. If no response, I'll pass it on to someone else or just throw it up in the chat. I want to give it away. I can't make the game, and I don't want it to go to waste. We want to fill up as many Jets fans as possible. A lot of players that are playing in that game. Now, you may not see Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook, but you're going to see Will McDonald. You're going to see Tony Adams. You're going to see some of these guys. You're going to see that tight end grouping, some of those young tight ends that we like. You're going to see some of those young backs.
Izzy at running back. Izzy has been amazing. Rucker,
yeah.
like
You're
there's
see
some
all these guys. You know, even our backup quarterback. I want to see him one more time too. I want to see Zach Wilson. He's been making some strides. We haven't really spoke about him, but he's looked really good. He looks comfortable. He looks like he's actually learning. His body mechanics look a lot sharper working next to Aaron Rodgers. So go out there and support your team if you can. So we're going to give that away. So we'll contact you. Warren Rohan, if you're seeing that, congratulations. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please share the show. Please go on Live Round. Simon and Kevin do a great job. And all those guys, Mike, putting great Jets information and updates on there. So please check it out. And thank you, JR, so much. He did a whole new layout for us today. It looks great. It looks so professional. It looks wonderful. Hopefully we could, pay him back by getting this show sponsored or something so we could give some shine on JR too. So thank you so much, everyone. JETS, Jets. Be safe out there. Watch the deer. Peace.
That time. They just ain't the same for young Jermaine, still underrated, but far from underpaid. And though some problems did fade, the hunger stayed. These stomach rumbles could humble thunder. I'm still fueled by the ones that slumber, to stand out amongst the one-hit wonders. So when the dust settles and the sun is under the horizon, y'all should run the numbers. What with me? Heart is out, and I say that reluctantly, 'cause